Hello and welcome to BlueCat's November Feature of the Month. My name's Kevin Mosley and today we're talking about single sign-on. Single sign-on can make user management much easier for a BlueCat administrator. I'm really excited to show you how it works, so let's get to it. In this Feature of the Month demonstration, we're going to cover configuring single sign-on between a Microsoft ADFS server and BlueCat Address Manager. We're going to cover creating identity providers, which is ADFS, service providers, which is Address Manager, and the relay party trusts in ADFS. Additionally, we're going to cover creating the groups and assigning users and validating that the SSO is working successfully. So let's get started by configuring the identity provider. The first step in configuring SSO is setting up the SAML IDP configuration. IDP stands for Identity Provider, and this is the information from the ADFS server that the BAM needs to send authentications. In this example, my ADFS DNS name is adfs.bctesting.com. In the IDP settings, the name is the DNS name of the ADFS implementation, and the description is a user-friendly name. The email attribute name and group attribute names are standard XML schemas that are provided by xmlsoap.org and don't need to be changed in this example. To get the federation information from ADFS, an URL is required, or a file. The place that you can find the URL to be used is to go into the ADFS Manager and select Endpoints. Under here, you'll find the Federation Metadata XML file, which is used for services to pull information needed for authentication. So in this case, I copy this to the URL, which includes my ADFS DNS name, and I copy and paste it into here. Then you click Upload, and it will populate the fields of sign-in URL, single logout URL, and entity ID from the information it received from the ADFS server. As part of this, it will send a certificate, and you may have to trust it during the import. After you've selected all this information, you click Update to complete the task. Now that we've configured the SAML identity provider, now we need to configure the SAML SP configuration. The SP stands for service provider, and that is the BAM who is providing the service. So in this case, we put in our URL for our BAM, and then it generates the entity ID, consume URL, and single logout URL. The name format can be left as the default in this case, but there are options to use different types of SAML information. In this case, we are going to toggle the signing, and we have filled out our BC testing organization, contact person, contact email, and organizational URL. After we have completed this configuration, we now click Update. And now that the information is saved, we now can move on to the next step. Now that our BAM knows how to talk to the ADFS server and the ADFS server knows how to communicate with our BAM, we need to add a relying party trust. To accomplish that, we go into the ADFS management tool on the Windows server and click Add Relying Party Trust. Since the BAM is claims aware, we will keep that radio button checked. Now for the Federation metadata address, we go to the BAM and look at entity ID. So we copy this URL here and paste it into the wizard. The next step is to configure a display name. I'm going to call this BlueCat Relying Party Trust. It can be any name that you choose. And we're going to select Permit Everyone. And now you can review the information that ADFS has pulled from the BAM. We're going to click Next, and then we're going to say Configure Claims Issuance Policy for this application. So now we need to edit the claim issuance policy, and we're going to add a rule. We're going to send LDAP attributes as claims. So the first step is to set a claim name, and we'll just call it BlueCat Claims. We'll select an attribute store, which in this case is Active Directory. And now we need to set the LDAP attributes that will be mapped to the outgoing claim type. So at first, we are going to select SAM account name and return that as name ID. We're going to select is member of DL, and we're going to return that as a group. And then finally, we will select email address and return that as an email address. Finish, and then we hit apply. And now our relying party trust has been configured in ADFS. To create the groups that will be used for single sign-on, we first need to go to the Windows server in the Server Manager and select Active Directory users and computers. We'll then create a group in the Users OU. We'll call this group SSO Testing, and we'll add a member to the group. We'll apply to save the changes, and now go to the Address Manager to create the SSO group. So we'll go to Users and Groups and select Groups, New SSO Group, and we're going to grant them full access and administrator privileges. Now to get the name, we need the fully distinguished name in Active Directory. So to get that information, we will go into the group to Attribute Editor and copy the name. We'll give it a description, ADFS SSO group, and click Add. Now that we've created the group, we can now move to testing the SSO configuration. To test the SSO authentication is working as expected, we'll go to the Administration tab on the Address Manager and click Identity and Access Management. We'll enable SSO and click Update. We will then go back into the menu and click Test SSO. Using the account that was created earlier, we will log in and test the authentication. As you can see, there are no errors and the light has turned green. To validate that we can log in as expected, we will open another browser and go to the Address Manager. You'll notice now there's a Login with SSO button. We can click on that, and now we're taken to the login page from the ADFS server. And we are able to successfully authenticate to the Address Manager. Now that this has been enabled and configured, we can enforce SSO by clicking on the SSO Enforcement tab. It is highly recommended that you have one local administrative user that can log in should there be an issue with the SSO authentication. As you can see, we pass all of these steps. We would click Enforce SSO and click Update.